Hey guys, how's it going? This is Dark coming at you again with another class guide. Now, I'm not going to go in depth with rotation and stuff like that. I'm going to give you guys some information, some links you guys can go to really, for some pros that really deep into that. But what I am going to come at you with, I'm going to come at you with the talents and stuff that the pros say are the best, the stuff that I use, and I'm going to give you some good information on them. And at least, give you a head start on what you could be doing, and you guys can adjust from there. So let's go right ahead, and let's start off with the first row, and let's start off with Fellblade. As of 7.2.5, Fellblade is the optimal choice for this tier. The talent is complete package, giving you additional mobility tied to a damage spell. Aside from this, Fellblade offers powerful Fury generation, allowing you to ramp up your damage quicker. So you're going around an arena, you're trying to chase down a healer gets away from you, you Fellblade in, you're instantly on them, gives you Fury, extra damage, you're good to go. Now, second tier. In almost every matchup, Demon Blades is the best. This talent gives you consistent damage, give you more total throughput. Demonic Appetite is an alternative choice, but should only be selected if your team needs more stuns to deal with enemy teams. I almost never run Demonic Appetite. That doesn't mean it's not good, but I prefer Demon Blades. I find it's better. Prepared is another one, but it should be only played against teams with multiple snares. This talent will give you more mobility, so it can be good it can be a good pick if you need to kite a lot or if you have problems connecting onto the enemy team. So, but the optimal talent, I would go with Demon Blades. Now, next one down. As of 7.2, Bloodlet is the best one for this tier. Now, if you're running Bloodlet, you should be going with Master of Glaive, but I'll cover that a little later on. This talent here gives you better consistent damage against slippery players and is really good while playing with a class that deals spread pressure. This spell is really high in your damage priority list and should be kept up as often as possible. When you're running around, everybody knows ferals and monks and all that stuff's going to chase you. So not only does this thing put a bleed on them, but if you're running Master of Glaive, it's also going to throw a slow on them. It's a dual purpose ability. So, that talent is amazing. Now, the next one down here, as you guys see, I run Soul Rend, but they all have their purpose. As a 7.2 though, when you're running threes, Netherwalk is a primary talent. Because so many teams have spiky burst, this talent becomes incredibly useful, either to premeditatively avoid damage, or to give your healer a recovery window after spiking an HP. Desperate Instincts is also really good, but should only be selected in specific situations. One such situation is against Dock Cleaves. After triggering Blur when below 35%, gives you much needed survivability against teams you're unlikely to benefit from complete damage immunity. Another situation where it's viable can be better is if you are playing against Relentless. While not having an on-use CC break, you are very susceptible to dying in a swap with stuns. This talent makes it less likely that situations will occur. Soul Rending can be good in low rating when you know that you can burst down, say, a healer really quick. It's also excellent in twos when you're going in there with another DPS. So when you go into your meta form, you cannot be touched as long as they don't CC you. That is one time where Soul Rending is amazing. In threes, you're better off running either Desperate Instincts or Netherwalk to help your healers out. For tier 5, I highly recommend playing with Momentum. This talent gives you more consistent damage and does have the drawback that Nemesis suffers by forcing you to train on one target. As of 7.2.5 though, Nemesis is definitely a viable alternative. This talent should primarily be selected when you plan on playing a comp that relies on subs for kills, such as Boomkin DH. Having the additional offensive CD during your setups increases the chance of forcing a major defensive CD or scoring a kill on the enemy team. If you're running 2s, Fell Eruption becomes a very viable option. It allows that if you're running a comp where you're with, say, a warrior or another DH or a rogue or somebody else who has a stun, because of how the additional properties of this ability works, when the stun's DR and you use Fell Eruption, that thing's going to hit like a truck. So it's worth using in 2s, Nemesis, or Momentum for 3s. Down to tier 6. Now, going back to Bloodlet. Primary choice on this tier is Master of the Glaive. Due to its synergy with Bloodlet, it's the best talent on this tier. This talent gives you better options while out of melee range of an enemy target. It's got 2 charges, and it puts a 50% slow on everything you hit. Now the last tier of our normal talents, let's start off with Chaos Blades. Actually, no, let's start off with Fell Barrage. Fell Barrage is really good for AoE, and it's got a low cooldown. I take this talent against any team that typically stacks up like melee cleave. They don't like it. If doing so, try and line up Fell Barrage with your Chaos Nova so you are less likely to get interrupted on its channel. Chaos Blades is a heavy burst cooldown, and I'll take it versus teams where I know I can get full use out of it without being easily peeled. Chaos Blades should be the primary talent choice if you are playing against a setup-based comp where you can cross CC. These types of comps allow you to have maximum uptime with the CD. If you want to see more on how you can set up your burst as a Demon Hunter, head over to skillcapped.com and I will leave the description down below. Now, the next thing we're going to touch on is the honor talents. Now, in most situations, Gladiator's Medallion is the better choice. As a Demon Hunter, you are extremely susceptible to dying in stuns. We don't have a whole lot of defensives. Being able to break out of CC is really important for survivability. With that in mind, you can choose to play Relentless. Though I would really only recommend doing so against caster cleaves where you can expect to be CC'd often. Just remember that doing so makes you very susceptible to sudden swaps, so you might need to use your defensive CDs preemptively with this talent. Next one down. If the enemy team has a caster DPS, then play with reinforced armor. If the enemy team has a Windwalker Warrior or Serve Hunter, play with sparring. The only time you ever want to play with hardiness is against teams that tried to 100-0 targets, such as Double Destro. Tier 3. Cover of Darkness is most likely the preferred talent. The spell is fairly powerful defensive mechanic that can help your team survive enemy damage. When used properly, this talent is often the difference between life and death in an arena. I would select this talent if you don't plan on splitting as double melee, or if your team needs an additional defensive CD. That being said, sorry, that was this one. My apologies. Solitude is also an excellent choice for this tier if you're playing against Dot Cleave. The reason for this is because Cover of Darkness does very little to mitigate damage over time effects. Does very little to mitigate damage over time effects. Sorry. And is really only good at stopping burst. Tier 4. If you're facing against any team with magic CC, such as mages, rets, or hunters, then reverse magic is the best talent. I love this talent. This thing is amazing. This ability is really effective at keeping your healer's uptime as high as possible. If the enemy team does not have an important magic effect you need to dispel, then the other two talent choices are definitely viable. If you're playing against a Caster Cleave with dots, then Unending Hatred is easily the best talent. This talent will give you lots of fury, allow you to be really flexible with your damage rotation. If you're playing against a team with a DK or Enhancement Shaman that does not have a long dispellable CC, then the talent I would suggest playing is Eye of Leotheris. Most of the damage dealt by these classes is magic, allowing you to generate lots of pressure during the uptime of Eye of Leotheris. Tier 5. Demonic Origins is still the best talent for this tier. Overall, this will deal more consistent damage by giving you more frequent access to your meta. If you want to play an incredibly slow-paced game, you can play with Mana Rift to try and dampen enemy healers. Here's Mana Rift here. And for the last one, Tier 6. After a nerf to Mana Break, Detainment, or Rain from Above are the two primary talents for the final tier. Detainment is the primary talent choice if you're likely not to kill target, or if you want an additional CC for your team. Rain from Above is a defensive option for this and can allow you to temporarily evade melee damage. Mana Break, which isn't suggested, is an alternative for your final tier. I would only suggest this talent in incredibly slow-paced games, especially when paired with Mana Rift. Personally, for me, Detainment is amazing. Range from Above, again, really good against melee cleaves. They're going to burst. They go to burst, jump out of that shit, you're good. If you guys want any other information, how to burst, any other videos, head over to skillcapped.com. The link is below. Check it out, guys. The pros put up info up there. It's worth the time. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up.